Hi, I'm Ian Stone. I'm the President and Chief Experience Officer at Respario Digital Advertising Group in Dallas, Texas. So today we're talking about a project that we completed for NASA at Johnson Space Center for their education and outreach program. When the Space Shuttle program was shuttered several years ago, there was a perception by the American public that NASA was defunct or no longer in business. So the Outreach and Education Department came to us and said, how can we come up with unique ways to tell the general public in marquee locations that we have programs such as the International Space Station, Missions to Mars, and other good science programs that NASA completes on a daily, monthly, and yearly basis. So what we did is we came up with a concept called StationLIFE. And StationLIFE, as it stands today, is all about taking media and content from the International Space Station, putting it into marquee locations like the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, Intrepid Museum in New York, and other science centers across the country, and telling the public about the science and the missions of the International Space Station. The size, scope, and unique requirements of the StationLIFE project for NASA were on many different levels. First, we had to create from the ground up an experience on the digital signage screens that not only brought in relevant content that was downloaded to us from the International Space Station through NASA, but also the ability to educate the general public on things like the latitude, longitude, and trajectory of the International Space Station, and have some interactive components such as tweets to ground from the astronauts and cosmonauts that were on the International Space Station. So we really started with a concept and a storyboard of what you see today on the StationLIFE experience with all of those different elements. The objective also was to deploy this in many types of locations, such as the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum and smaller science centers across the country. The hosts or the end user locations, such as the museums, were not able to give us bandwidth. So we had to work on a strategy where we were standalone using 4G LTE routers on the back of each one of our screens to be able to download and manage all of the content aspects of the StationLIFE content. One of the other components that was unique that NASA asked us to do is to be able to switch over from the StationLIFE feed when there are rocket launches or other major events that are happening within NASA and pass through a live feed. So we had to look at the network architecture both on the cellular and with our media player and devices to be able to handle that type of content seamlessly and then switch back to the standard programming of StationLIFE. We used several strategies to design the implementation. So we had to look at all of the different locations where NASA told us that this was going to be installed to be able to come up with a common footprint from a hardware perspective that worked across all of those so that we could manage the network from a unified perspective. The other thing that we've done, and we've been recently commissioned to do, is to take what we have on the StationLIFE, which is the large format displays, and come up with an interactive approach. So we've launched Station Touch, which takes a lot of the same type of content that's on the passive screens, and we've put that in an interactive approach where guests in a science center or a museum or other location can interact directly with the content. So really the only way for this to be successful is to take advantage of all of the different components of digital signage, not only the different types of displays that we've deployed, but the ability to create multiple levels of content. So without digital signage, we wouldn't be able to piece that together in any other way other than to utilize the attributes of digital signage and the technology that we use to launch StationLIFE and Station Touch. We get great results and great feedback from our museum partners who continually want additional components, who want different types of media, and it's actually helped us win additional business with some of those locations for different types of projects. We help benefit the viewer by educating them more on the space programs, on NASA and the International Space Station program, and helping to portray that NASA is a very viable organization within the United States government and doing great work in space, both on the International Space Station and beyond.